Hello, 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 and welcome to the Nerd of God Squad and our amazing friends, where I introduce you to some really cool people and we geek out together and glorify God, and we have a great time. Tonight is a really special episode. I'm looking forward to introducing our guest to you. We want you to be part of the conversation. You can join us across all the social medias on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Nerd of Godcast, or you can check out our Facebook small group, the Nerd of God Squad. Send us a request, and we're going to let you in there because we're a pretty indiscriminate bunch. Nerd of God Squad on Facebook. Live your dreams and share some memes. I'm super excited to have our guest. It's going to be a magical evening, and I mean that in every sense of the word. So I'm excited to introduce to you Steve Marshall, my friend, all the way from Tokyo, Japan. It is late at night here. It is early morning there. So from around the planet, would you please welcome my friend Steve? So it is a delight to have in this conversation this evening one of my amazing friends, Steve Marshall, the ambassador of magic from the USA, all the way from, are you in Tokyo, Japan?
I'm just outside of Tokyo, but basically I say Tokyo.
Yeah, well, that's easier, you know. That's exactly. Wonderful. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you.
Thanks, man. It's great to see you. It's always great to see you.
This is a true marvel of technology. I don't ever want to take for granted that we really do live in the future, jetpacks notwithstanding, that we can sit literally around the planet from each other and have a conversation. It's wonderful.
Well, these little communicator devices that we carry in our pocket now that are 1,000 or 1,000,000 times stronger than the first supercomputers.
To be sure.
Yeah, it is great. This is just like I remember being, what was that? It was in Epcot. Maybe it was the Home of Tomorrow.
Innoventions.
And you come out and you go along that moving sidewalk. And you see these people like talking to each other on a computer screen, and this lady ordering groceries and things like that. Yeah,
it was Horizons. Horizons was the ride, and but no one was wearing masks, and that was the thing that they missed. Who knew?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Who knew? Well, what a delight. Steve, we have been friends for a very long time, and it makes me really happy that we can just always jump back in and connect and see each other. We met in 1996, I think, if memory serves.
Sounds about right.
At the Boardwalk Resort at Disney.
Yeah.
And
you were working there demonstrating the puppets, right?
I was doing puppets and wandering around entertaining people, and you were a boardwalk busker doing your deal. So tell everybody kind of what your background is. You are the ambassador of magic from the USA. Is this a title that was given to you, or is this just remarkable branding?
It was actually given to me on a TV show. I did a TV show I guess it's been almost 20 years ago here in Japan, and the hosts, I hadn't seen the introduction. I did the show, but I hadn't seen the introduction. And the host introduced me. They said, Magic Taishi USA. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. And I looked at my wife and I go, what does that mean? She goes, it means ambassador of magic from the USA. And I went, that's going on all my promo material. That's it. The ambassador of magic from the USA. Yeah.
It's 10 times cooler that somebody else says it about you. I mean, I'm not saying it's not true if you say it about yourself, but it's always cool to be knighted like that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, so you have a background in magic. I mean, you have a background in entertainment in general. I mean, you do everything. You have a tremendous pedigree, but did magic bring you to Japan?
I see a pedigree. I think I'm
down, boy, down, heel.
Here's another one for the flea circus. Hold on, let me go put that over there. I mean, I started doing magic. Here's the way I always back it up is when I was a kid, I was the overweight kid. I was the kid that got picked on in school. I got bullied. I got picked last for the teams and sports and everything like that. Well, yeah, and I think a lot of people, can relate. And I think a lot of people in show business or entertainment in general, or people that are funny, tend to have those kind of backgrounds. It was something that we used as a coping mechanism in the beginning. And it certainly was for me. I saw this magician named Marshall Brodeen introducing these TV magic cards. It was a big thing in the TV magic kit. They would advertise on TV. And I asked for that kit for Christmas, and I got it. And it was just all of a sudden I could do something that nobody else could do. So it was fun. It kind of broke me out of my shell because I could do these magic tricks. and people wouldn't normally talk to me, or people that would give me a hard time were all of a sudden like, oh, that's cool. Do another trick, right? So it kind of got me out. I wasn't getting beat up so much, because it was like, here, watch a card trick instead, Now I do too many card tricks and people beat me up. So it's kind of come full circle.
Full circle.
But I'm okay. I'm okay with it. So I mean, it started with that all through school. When I was in junior high school, my church youth group was out having pizza one night in Tampa. I grew up in Zephyr Hills, Florida.
The sprawling metropolis of Zephyr Hills.
2,000 in the summer, 10,000 in the winter.
It's very cosmopolitan.
Exactly. But it was great for me living there, because I was the only entertainment in town, and there's over 100 trailer parks. It's a senior citizens community. And when people found out there was a magician in town, they knew I was in high school. They didn't know how to contact me. So they'd call the high school looking for me. The student secretaries would take a message, bring it to me in class, say I had a phone call, and there were no cell phones back then. So I'd get excused from class. I'd go to the payphone. I'd book a show, and whoever had called, I'd book the show, and then I'd go back to class.
That's
right?
amazing.
So it's like I had my own secretary system. The student secretaries would bring me the messages in class.
Very professional. I mean, there's probably a lot of working magicians right now that don't have that level of networking.
I know. I don't even have that now. I need to get them back. I'm answering the phone myself now. So I started working at a place called Lowry Park in Tampa. Years ago, it wasn't just a zoo. They had a little amusement park there, and I was doing shows and everything. So really, by the time I was in high school, I was making money doing magic. I had a business. I was doing birthday parties all around town. That's about the time that I met a clown who had been with Ringling Brothers, who taught me how to put on makeup, and he taught a local Red Cross youth clown troupe.
Okay.
I started doing that. The Lowry Park gig came from my youth group. We were having pizza in Tampa, and we were leaving, and I had made this shirt in art class that had a rabbit in a hat, and some people saw it, and they stopped me and they said, "We're the owners of Lowry Park. Are you a magician?" And they hired me to come do magic.
How cool.
Yeah. And then after that, I applied for Ringling Brothers Clown College. And after high school, I went to clown college. And that was
as one does.
As one does, yeah. So I spent the next 5 years on Ringling Brothers Circus as a clwn. And
that in itself, we could fill hours of conversation just going down the road with you on that one.
Yeah, I just came from another Zoom thing. I just came straight here. There a meeting with all the clowns from the first year the circus went to Japan.
Wow.
And just a whole bunch of Ringling clowns telling stories. And it was like, it's so nice and relaxed now that we can actually talk, because you couldn't get a word in edgewise with
a bunch of people.
It was fun. It was great. Everybody's got stories.
You need to send me one of the password to the next Zoom meeting with the clowns, because I would just love to be a fly on the wall. Yeah. So your Ringling Brothers experience took you to Japan for the first time, if I remember your story correctly.
Right. So 4 years I traveled with the show in the States, and then I went and worked at Disneyland in California for a little while with a thing called Circus Fantasy. They had their circus theme going on Disney. And then I went to Japan. It was my first time to go to Japan. We were there for 6 months. At the end of the tour, I bought my souvenirs. I went home thinking, that's it. I'm never
coming back to this planet again.
No. And as of now, I've been living here for 22 years.
Yeah, wow. So it's a major part of your story.
Yeah.
So I remember that when I'm doing puppets for at Disney World, and I'm interacting with people, and I remember you would always kind of swing by and hang out and linger, and we'd have great conversations. And I remember if I was talking to Japanese guests, you would stand behind me and feed me lines in Japanese that I would then say to them through the puppet, and they were so delighted because they didn't realize that it was like a double ventriloquist act. You were speaking for me, I was speaking for the puppet, and that was great. I mean, you're fluent in Japanese. It's a major part of your story and your love. It's wonderful. So you live in Japan full time, and you do magic full time. It's not a hobby. It's your gig.
This is it. This is I mean, it's hard. It's hard for people to understand that. Let me just back up real quick and say that on the boardwalk, I was a full-time entertainer hired by Disney.
Yeah.
To be out there entertaining the crowds that would come to Disney, and which I took as a big deal, because people come to Disney. It's a big deal. They save up their money to come to Disney for, forever. And then they come and if they decide to spend part of their time watching my show, I feel it a privilege and a, God, I can't think of English words. I swear. It's like but anyway, I would take it as a responsibility to give them the best entertainment possible, because it was Disney.
Responsibility sounds like a very Japanese word translated into English.
Probably, yeah.
It was an honor. It was my honor to do this and my duty.
Well, it was. But on my breaks, in between, I would come and watch you to be entertained.
Oh, wow.
Like you were I used to just go out there because I knew, hey, I can sit back and relax and be entertained for a while just watching you just interact with the guests, because you're so funny.
Oh my goodness. Well, I was all hopped up on Surge back in the day, so that was what it was, just caffeinated soda. But we had a great time, and we would hang out. The first time that we ever met, I really kind of had a conversation. We asked each other several times. They had their classic rock playlist that they would play out there. And one night the Doobie Brothers was on. They were playing Jesus Is Just All Right. And you kind of walked by and lingered, and you said, "Is this DC Talk?" And I went, "You know who DC Talk is."
Yeah.
Nobody knows who DC Talk is. So so it kind of opened a door to, share faith. And we had those conversations beyond the act, and got real. And, we got to become a part of each other's lives in a real way. We spent a lot of time together, and here we are, almost 3 decades later, and still hanging out and talking. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful. And you are a big deal in Japan. I feel like, again, you're literally the only person I know in Japan, but you seem like you're all over the place. You're not just a magician. You are a photographer and an artist and a songwriter, and you're just a universal Renaissance man. Anything that can be done to create and to imagine and to color your world. It's really impressive. You're one of my favorite people that I follow online, because I just really feel like it's a window to a magical world.
Well, I've gotten a lot of opportunities over here, and to be honest, it's funny that I've been here 22 years, because about every 2 or 2.5 years, I think I want to move back to the States, right? It just, because
now's not a good time. Just giving you the heads up.
No, I know that. Well, I'm rethinking that now. But it's every 2 or 2.5 years, some great opportunity comes up for me here. And I've remained open to whatever comes my way. And that meant doing TV commercials. I was like the national face for McDonald's Japan for 6 months.
That's crazy.
Touring all over the place. Yeah. I would drive past, you'd drive past, if there was an outdoor McDonald's with a drive that had a drive-through, there'd be a 30-foot banner of me hanging from the McDonald's sign.
Wow.
There were cardboard stand-ups of me in front of every McDonald's. I'm looking at one right now, right across from me. It's funny.
That's
I've got one
nuts.
sitting in my room.
I didn't know that. I feel like even more intimidated by you right now.
No, but it was fun. It was, and it was fun to do something like that. And what was interesting though too was to have a little tiny itsy bitsy teeny weeny taste of what it was like to be a big movie star or a rock star, because I did 6 different national TV commercials for McDonald's as this character, Mr. James, he was called. And when I put the costume with the wardrobe on and did my hair the way they had me for the commercial, and I'd walk out to one of these McDonald's, they had to push me through crowds sometime. People reaching out, trying to grab at you, and everybody wanting to take pictures.
Oh my goodness.
It was, because people knew who he was from these TV commercials, from the, but I saw the good and the bad of it, about it, because I also read some stuff on the internet. People were talking about me or about the actor who was portraying this Mr. James, and they were saying all these bad things. And it was really hard. It was like having those bullies back in school.
Wow.
And I went, wow, it really gives you a sympathy for a movie star. People like to complain about movie stars, and people like to go, oh, they do this and their life is like this. But what people don't realize is for them, hey, I could do my hair the other way and I could walk right into that McDonald's 10 minutes later and nobody knew who I was. I'd take the glasses off that I was wearing from the thing and put my contacts in. I did that a lot of times. Afterwards, I'd go and get a Coke or a burger or something like that, and 10 minutes before, people were screaming and trying to grab me and everything like that. 10 minutes later, I'm in there, sitting there eating, and nobody knew who I was.
Wow. So
that was a great thing to be able to do that.
You're like the Clark Kent Superman of fast food.
Exactly. But, a real movie star can't do that. And it really gave me a sympathy, for what somebody goes through that's recognizable 24/7, who can't leave their house without the paparazzi wanting to take pictures of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
thanks, TMZ.
Exactly. And it's really, so, whatever you think about a movie star and what their life is, put yourself in those shoes that maybe their life is a little different, or maybe because you're only seeing snippets of their life too, whatever the cameras take. So anyway, it was good. I think it's good to have those experiences.
They have a show here in the States. I don't know what the crossover is media-wise. I assume that a lot of things are universal now, but Jimmy Kimmel does this bit where, I believe it's Jimmy Kimmel, where he has celebrities read mean tweets about them.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Very funny, but they have to deal with that all the time. Like, you're terrible, you're ugly, you suck, you have no talent. No, it's hard.
And that's what people were saying about me during this Mr. Jane things. And it was other foreigners that were living. The Japanese weren't saying anything, but the other foreigners. As a matter of fact, the word gaijin in Japanese, it means foreigner. And it basically means, literally, it kind of means outsider person. It's a word that goes way back. And a lot of people don't like it. Like, they've kind of tried to change it a little bit, because it's kind of almost like a slur in a sense, you gaijin, but it's not. I mean, it's funny. I'll say sometimes I'm a gaijin, just so. But it was all the other people, and the first headline that came out in the newspaper, one of the English newspapers, was McDonald's Japan has a new gaijin clown. And they used the word clown, and I was being this kind of Mr. Beanish kind of comedic character. And when I read they have a new gaijin clown, I was so happy because I'm a clown. And I went, oh, they get it. They get that I'm a clown. This is great. And I started reading it and I'm going, oh, they're not using clown in a good way.
Oh, no. That word has two meanings.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, speaking of fast food, completely off the track here, but you are our window into to Japan. What's the deal with KFC at Christmas time? Honestly.
It's just a big deal. Everybody orders Christmas isn't, New Year's in Japan is the time when everybody's off and everybody gets together with their families. I mean, Christmas is it's a commercial holiday. I mean, it's not a Christian country. It's not something that they grew up with, but they know about Santa Claus. The kids go to sleep at night. When they wake up in the morning, they get one present next to their pillow because they get presents at New Year's. They get money and stuff at New Year's. So it's a commercial thing. So actually, Christmas Eve is a huge date night. If you're single and you don't have a date on Christmas Eve, you're a loser.
Really?
Kind of. Yeah. It's a big night to go out. Christmas Eve is the big romantic, they say love night. You go out with your girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever. But people stay home and they have dinners on Christmas Eve. And for some reason, Kentucky Fried Chicken, they started making this box of all this fried chicken, and they're probably taking orders now.
That's crazy.
maybe next month, November, October or something. Yeah. And you buy a Christmas cake from another place. There's people selling Christmas cakes outside. There's little sponge cakes with strawberries on them. And you order your KFC and you sit at home, and that's your big holiday meal.
Wow.
Or it's not a holiday, that's Christmas Eve meal,
So I live vicariously through you so much, and I feel so honored. One time I got kind of a personalized response from you. And I know we're friends, but it still feels like there's a touch of like celebrity, starstruck here. But so you'll do these videos of you going all around the country. You did one a long time ago when they had the Whopper, the black colored Burger King burger. That was, I showed so many people that video. I'm like, you're never going to believe this thing. You got to look at it. And then you did one that was beautiful. Speaking of holidays, I think you reposted it a couple weeks ago. It was the festival with the tree with the ribbons tied on it.
Yeah, Tanabata, which is 7/7, July 7th.
Okay.
And I just did a little thing because I love the whole story behind it. It's about a star princess and her boyfriend, her lover, the two star-crossed lovers, they call them. And the girl, she was the daughter of a god, right? She was a princess of this god. And she would weave these beautiful fabrics for her father. And she fell in love with this cow herder. And when they fell in love, she stopped weaving the fabrics and he stopped watching his cows. And they said that the cows were wandering around among the stars and she wasn't making the stuff for her father. And so the father made them separate. But then he said that if they both did their duties, did their chores, he would let them come together for one night in the Milky Way on July 7th. And that's called Tanabata in Japan. But it's a big festival and they have these trees, they're bamboo trees, everybody puts up. And then those little pieces of paper, you write your wishes on them, what you hope for. And you hang your wishes on the tree. And that's the Tanabata Festival.
It's awesome. And I'm watching this video of you going all over the place looking for the Tanabata tree, looking for something that would be out on display. And I really felt like I was there with you. I have a video game that I play on my Nintendo Switch called Animal Crossing, and they released on that day that I saw your video, limited time, you could buy in the store for your village a little Tanabata tree. So I bought one and I put it up by my house, and I think of you when I see it. But one time we were talking about Toys R Us and how all of our Toys R Us are closed, and you sent me a video that was like, not all Toys R Us are closed. Here's one from Japan that's still open, alive and well. So following you, like I said, is amazing to me. You post photographs that just take me out of whatever room I'm in and put me in the scene with you, whether they're photographs of people that you're performing with, whether they're scenery photographs, whether it's just the world through the look of like a crystal ball. I mean, it's really fantastic. I have here a book. You recognize this? Turning the Pages by Steve Marshall, 365 Days of Inspiration in Photographs and Quotes. You have one too?
I have one too. Surprise, surprise.
Did you sign your copy? Because mine is regretfully unsigned.
Well, when I get there, I'll sign it. Next time we see each other.
I will hold it for you. This is fantastic. I was so proud.
Thanks.
Like, oh man, I know this guy, and I know I know your photography. So I bought this book, and every day for an entire year, you need an updated leap year edition with the 366th day, right? Just
there is 366 in there. There is a leap day. There's a February 29th. Yeah.
Well, then your cover is misleading, sir. But great photographs and just really cool quotes. Really awesome. Just thumbnails at all the places that you've been. You've been on cruise lines. You've traveled to countries. You've gone. On television with Penn and Teller. What? So many great places. How? I think that there's probably I'm going to make an assumption here, a danger when you have an act, when you have a routine, and you can do these things so many times for so many years that it just becomes stale, that it just becomes routine, it just becomes going through the motions. You could do it with your eyes shut. And yet when I watch you, that doesn't seem to be the case. You seem to be the kind of person that can find sparks of wonder everywhere you go. What's your deal? What's your secret? How do you do that?
Well, it is. I mean, a lot of the routines, the staples in my act, that I've been doing since the boardwalk days or even before that, I've been doing these routines for 25 years. A lot of them, thank goodness. And now this is going to change now because there's new performing rules, because half my act was bringing people up on stage.
Wow, yeah.
And doing things with them. And so now that's, whenever live performances do come back, in the beginning, the rules are going to be, I'm not going to be able to leave the stage and I'm not going to be able to bring anybody up on stage.
Wow.
But I have done a couple of live shows in the last 7 months. I've done 3, and it was interesting. And I found ways to work around that. I can still have somebody stand up in the audience at their seat and interact with them, or there's ways. So for me, that was a big thing, was when I bring somebody up on stage, I never know what they're going to do.
Right.
So I kind of got to go with it. And sometimes, after thousands of times doing these routines, I kind of know what people are going to do, but every once in a while somebody will surprise me. And I actually like that when I get thrown for a loop or something, or when something goes wrong during the show. it makes my mind start going, what am I going to do? And I practice, what can go wrong as well as what can go right. But yeah, it's, when I get on stage, it really doesn't matter what's going on in my life. I know what I'm doing when I'm on stage. Mm-hmm. And it's ironic, and I've heard other entertainers say things like this, but I'm the most comfortable standing in the middle of a stage by myself in front of 1,000 people. That's where I'm most comfortable.
Wow.
And I'm most uncomfortable at a party where I've got like 2 or 3 people that I have to talk to that I don't know, or if I'm performing in front of friends and family. You put me in front of an audience of 10,000 strangers and I'm fine. You put one family member or one friend in the audience and I'm like because I got to see them again. It's like an audience of strangers, they're gone. I'm probably going to never see these people again. I mean, I want to do a good show, but it's funny how nerve-wracking it is when you get somebody in the audience. Yeah.
Gosh, well, now I feel bad because every time you're here, I try to go see your show and sit as close to the front as I can. But
no, but I love it. I mean, I love it, but it's funny. It throws me when somebody I know's in the audience.
Next, I'll come in
I love it.
I'll come in my Clark Kent Superman fast food disguise, so you'll never know.
Actually, wear a Superman costume.
That's what that. Well, yeah, obviously. I always wear a Superman costume under whatever I'm wearing, just in case, because one never knows. Yeah, but
I would.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if you're in the audience, I have no problem. I'm okay. I mean, I say it's uncomfortable. It's not wildly uncomfortable. But, I would never bring you on stage to help me. And I learned that years ago when I brought somebody I knew up on stage. I thought it'd be fun. They were in the audience with their family, so I brought them up on stage. And when I bring somebody up on stage to help me, I want them to be a little bit uncomfortable. Not wildly uncomfortable, but I want them to be, I'm bringing them into my world.
Sure.
And I don't want them to be too confident up there because I want to kind of lead them to do what I need them to do in a sense. I mean, I love it when they go off whatever and do whatever, it's fun. But if I bring somebody I know on stage and they know me and they're comfortable with me, it's really difficult for me to get them to do what I want them to do because they're up there with their buddy Steve.
Yeah.
And I did that once and I'll never do it again.
So I'm going to take this opportunity to throw a pause, and I'm going to get back to this question of living this life of wonder and awe at the world around you. But I'm going to take this moment for a little repentance. We're going to have a confession booth, and you are Father Steve. And I am going to bring to you a 25-year-old grievance that I have committed against you that still eats me alive. For real. So we were at church one Sunday morning. You came with me to church, and there was a fellowship dinner afterwards. And you were kind of talking magic with some people. I mean, they were all, they didn't know who you were. And I'm not trying to spill any beans here, but because that's the nature of this confession time. You were alluding to something that you could do, and I happen to have some of my magic equipment in my office there at the church. So I went and got you a tool of the trade with which you could perform. But instead of slyly handing it to you to maintain the illusion, I plopped it down on the table right in front of you and God and everybody. And you shot me a look, not of anger, but certainly of betrayal and disappointment. It was quick, and I'm going to tell you, seriously, I think at that time I was honestly like 19 years old. And that has bothered me ever since that I did that to you. I think about it and cringe. So here in front of everybody that's watching or listening, or maybe just me and you and Claude Alexander there, I apologize for that. I need you to let me off the hook, man.
Good, because I remember that. And I've been meaning to talk to you about that for years, and I just didn't know how to bring it up. And this kind of bothered me too. So I think I can let it slide. No, I don't remember it at all.
Isn't that funny how we beat ourselves up so much for things that nobody else even cares about?
Oh, I know. I do that a lot, And it's funny because in my life I've had several people. I had somebody come up to me and apologize for something that they did years ago, and it was the same kind of thing, and it was actually something that was kind of worse than what you're saying, and I don't even remember it. You know what I mean? Half the times the people that you think that you've wronged and it eats at you, they've forgotten about it. or if they do remember it, it's like, oh yeah, that was no big deal,
Sure.
usually, because I'm sure I can totally see me doing that. I can see me shooting you the look because of that, because, magic is all about secrets, and magic is an important part of my life. So if I felt that you gave away a secret, I didn't feel like, it was like I would feel like you were betraying the art of magic, not
Sure.
betraying me. So it's what I felt was a much bigger thing, Tony. So
The time-honored
multiply
fraternity.
it by 100.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
You were dissing Claude Alexander,
No!
my friend. You just knocked
No.
the hat down too.
I couldn't betray that man. Yeah. No.
And I'm sure, I can see that. Here's the thing: whenever anybody that I've spent significant amount of time with, and I mean like a girlfriend or my wife when we first got married, I always tell them, I said, look, never say, hey, do that trick where you make the coin disappear. Because people do that because if they're around me a while, they've seen that and they want
Sure.
other people to see it. They want other people to experience that wonder. But that's like, going, hey, tell that joke where the chicken crosses the road to get to the other side.
Yeah.
If you blow the punchline. So I always say, hey, you can say, hey, do that card trick, or you can whisper something in my ear, but don't
Right.
say, because it's about the surprise. If you
Yeah.
ruin the surprise, then it's not really a trick. But anyway.
Yeah, let's read that book about the wizarding kid in the end when this happens. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. And so
okay, you're absolved of your.
Spirit Santos. So, and I think that the wonder is the important part. If you're giving away the ending, you take something away from the experience of people having that how did that happen sort of moment. And that's what you trade in. I mean, amazement is your craft. That's the world that you live in. Do you feel like the world is losing a sense of that amazement and that wonder?
I don't think so, but we have to look at it a different way, and we have to approach it a different way, because, I mean, I think it was David Copperfield was talking about this years ago when I was a kid. It made perfect sense. He goes, it's harder as a magician now, especially for him. He said, I'm doing magic on TV, but I'm competing with this magic box that is sitting in people's living room that is broadcasting images from around the world. When you think about that, a simple TV is amazing. If you took a TV back 100 years ago, it would be a magic box. People would freak out. Something we take for granted now. So I think that you have to use different things. Now, that being said, I've actually went the opposite way on some things. I've done some shows where I've went back and used tricks that were used in the 20s. I did a couple years ago, I went to Michigan and I did a Halloween show.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a really interesting promotion. Like, you did a whole weeks there, didn't you? I did like 17 shows there in the first year, and then we it was weird. The second year we cut it down to half the amount of shows, but we actually did almost twice the amount of people. It was like, with the first year we were really ambitious and we spread it out, so all the shows weren't sold out. Gotcha. Whereas the next year we cut down the number of shows and they were all sold out. So it worked out better. That's cool. But what that was, it was in a house that's supposedly haunted, and people have the local legends. People have their stories about Agnes who died in the house and things like that. And so what I did was I reproduced what a seance would have looked like in 1926, which was when that house was built. Okay. And the year that Agnes died. It was a good year. And I mean, not for Agnes. Very good year. Yeah. Not for Agnes. Not for Agnes. No, but it was, and I used some tricks that spirit mediums used in the 1920s. And I mean, I actually used the exact same methods that were used back then. And it got the same reactions today. I know. And, and I love doing shows like that and being able to tell people, look, this isn't real. You know what I mean? I'm going to make you feel that you're experiencing these things. Yeah. But it's me doing magic. So what's the reaction like when you do that? Does it take away? I mean, I think people go into it not really believing, well, here comes, he's a magic wielder. He's got Satan in him. People understand that there's a showmanship element to it. Some people don't. It's hard because I would get people coming up to me after the show and saying, you're a real spirit medium.
I can tell that.
Hmm.
And I go, no, I'm not. I could tell you in 2 seconds how I did this thing. I'm not. And, some people choose to believe it, and that's because they want to believe it. And
that's a missed opportunity. You could say, I sense someone whose name has a C in it telling you to give me money. That's your opportunity right there. You go for it, man.
Exactly. No, I go the opposite way. I was down in Mexico last year, and after one of my shows, I do this bit in my show where I talk about, it's called automatic writing, which was a spiritualist thing, and people still use it today. What they claim is that they hold a pencil or a pen in their hand. They put that pencil or pen on a piece of paper. They close their eyes and go into a trance, and a spirit comes through them and moves the pen and writes a message to somebody, writes the name of somebody who's departed or whatever.
So it's like a Ouija board without Parker Brothers getting their cut.
Exactly, right. And so I was down at this resort in Mexico, and I would do this whole thing about automatic writing. And I would just talk about what it was, and then I would do this really bad, I would say, think of a famous movie star. And let's say they thought of Johnny Depp. And then I'd say, spirits guide my hand. And I would draw this really bad stick figure where nobody could see. And I'd say, who are you thinking of? Johnny Depp. And I'd step away and I go, look, I drew Johnny Depp. You know what I mean? So it was like, it was a joke. And I'd gotten this girl up to help me out, because afterwards they color it in and something happens. I'd make a prediction, things like that.
Okay.
And this woman came up to me after the show. Everybody left. Everybody came up and talked to me, because I talked to people after the show. And there was this one woman kind of hanging back. And she came up and she said, we really liked your show. We're down here on vacation. It was a resort. And she said, I forget where they were from, the States. And she says, but we're Christians, and we enjoyed your show, but I didn't appreciate the fact that you called down spirits when my daughter was up there to do this trick. And I kind of looked at her like going, what are you talking about, calling down spirits? Because in my mind, this is just a gag. It's telling a history of what happened and then basically making fun of it. So I never feel like I'm calling down spirits, Sure. And so it actually took me a second to realize what she was talking about. I'm looking at her going, when did I call down spirits? Oh, the trick, where I got your daughter.
The stick figure drawing spirits. Come on.
Yeah. And she said, oh, well, you got my daughter up and you called down spirits and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, ma'am, I was kind of making fun of it, this and that. She goes, oh, so it was a joke. You weren't really calling down spirits. And I still was kind of befuddled. And I looked at her, I go, yeah, it was a joke. And she goes, oh, it's okay then. And walked away.
Yeah, joke spirits are fine.
Yeah, but it's kind of amazing to me that in the 21st century that people still think that they were going to some entertaining show with this comedy goofball guy, and she actually in her mind thought I was calling down spirits. She was really upset about this. And it was like, I don't know. I'm just the biggest skeptic in the world about stuff like that, and know that it's all fake, and know that nobody's doing anything like that. So it's like,
except for Chris Angel, that's got to be demons.
Please. Don't get me started. Well, no, but I've had a lot of people say things to me. They go, don't call yourself a magician, call yourself an illusionist, or you should stop doing this because it's the dark arts. And I'm going, it's a card trick. It's no different from, that's like seeing a musician play a really good guitar piece and say, well, he must have sold his soul to the devil to
only
play
if
that
he
good.
Plays minor chords. That's how you know.
Exactly. Exactly.
Those are the demon notes.
Yeah. So anyway, it's interesting that I do have people still say things like that to me, and it always kind of catches me off guard, when they say things.
Wow. Well, I've seen you, and I'm a believer. There's things that you do that just absolutely blow my mind, and we've been to the magic shops. I mean, you've been gracious enough to take me behind the curtain to some level, and I'll still watch you and go, dang, how? And I know a lot of it is just being smart and clever enough to figure out how to bring the presentation to it. A lot of it is just a lot of practice and an amazing skill. And that's where I fell short, because you kind of walked me through some of these things, and I still have like a lot of, I won't use any particular names or describe anything, but I still have my box. I have my box of magic that I've used it. We went down to Colombia 2 years ago to work with some kids that were in a safe house there that were kind of being protected from human trafficking. And I brought some of the things that you and me and John Egan went and got in Daytona, and I still have them. And those kids were just amazed. They don't have TV like we have. They don't have the internet where they have, and this is a completely impoverished village. And every simple, stupid little thing that I did, which was extremely basic pedestrian magic illusion, just blew their mind. But I was able to take those things and do a little bit of patter and just kind of weaving a little bit of a gospel story into it. And those kids were just beside themselves. And, you get that request, do it again. I want to see it again. And I don't do it again. I make them want more. And so just leave them in a sense of wonder.
Well, here's a good analogy for that. Number one, magic is a great thing. I can go anywhere in the world, and even if I don't speak somebody's language, if they're totally different culture, I can ingratiate myself to them by doing a magic trick, because everybody understands if I take a coin and it's gone, you don't have to speak language to understand that. You get that. And years ago, I read an essay by a magician named Paul Harris, and this made total sense to me, and I talk about this all the time. He talks about the moment of astonishment. For some reason, when I related this story over the years, I always called it the moment of wow. I don't know why in my mind, I always said the moment of wow. And like 15 years after I read the essay, I met Paul Harris, and I was talking about the essay I'd read, the moment of wow. And he goes, well, actually, it's the moment of astonishment. And then he stopped and he goes, I kind of like the moment of wow better. and he just written a book, and he signed it to Steve Marshall, the creator of the moment of wow, which I thought was really cool.
That's awesome.
But here it is, the moment of astonishment. What he talks about is when we're born, everything we experience for the first time is astonishing. The feel of warm wind on your face, the smell of a flower, the sound of the rain. Everything you experience for the first time is amazing and astonishing. But as we grow up, these just become experiences, and we create boxes that we put these things in. So now when we hear the rain, it's just, that's it, we're hearing the rain. Or this is what the field, or this rose smells like. It's not astonishing anymore. It might be nice, but it's not astonishing. So we take these boxes, and all these little things are put into compartmentalized boxes that we stack up, and all these experiences stack up until we know which box to reach into for what things are. Then the magic boy comes along and does the trick and does something that you can't fit into one of your neat little boxes. And in that moment of astonishment, all those boxes fall down, and all you're left is that childhood wonder of experiencing something for the first time. Well, then a couple seconds later, your brain starts going to, oh, well, it didn't disappear. You just kept it in his hand. Or, you start creating a reason for it, which can fit into one of your boxes, and those boxes stack up again. And that's what he said was why people say, do another one, because you want that jolt. You want those boxes to fall down again so you can experience that childlike wonder. And so that's my job, is creating those moments.
And this is, and you said this is not dependent upon East or West or race or social status. This is a universal human trait that you've seen and experienced and discovered to be true across the world. And if anybody's qualified to speak to that, you are.
Yeah.
So if it's something that's hardwired into us, then it's an essential part of humanity, is the desire to be astonished, the desire to have that wow moment. Why do you think that God would make people that way, with a desire to expect the amazing?
Oh, well, like I said, it's when you're young, everything you experience is like that. So, we're actually searching, I don't know if we're made to expect it. I think we're just always searching for something else that will make us feel that way again.
Okay.
And I think that's what, I think that's what keeps the world alive for us. That's what keeps us going on a daily basis. That's what, it's having that sense of wonder. If you can look around, and this is, I don't know if you saw the TED talk, the TEDx talk.
I did, yeah.
No. But I talk about this, and this is what, you need to find ways to create that in your daily life.
Right.
You know, even if you don't see a magic trick every day. I mean, I can't be there to show you a magic trick every day.
But people can follow you. People can follow you on YouTube, and they can see magic tricks every day.
Exactly. But anything takes practice.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. I've been doing photography now seriously for about 5 years.
And you're very, very good.
Thanks. But I attribute that to the fact that I constantly now look around. I've practiced it. I take pictures every day, a lot of pictures every day with my, if you got a cell phone, if you got a smartphone, you've got a good camera with you.
Right.
It's not about having great equipment, because what happened was when I first got into photography, I'd saved up the money to buy a good camera, whatever a good camera is now,
The expensive ones.
Exactly. But what happened was I was walking around taking pictures with my cell phone, with my iPhone, and I was getting all these great pictures, and I was posting them to Facebook, and I had a professional photographer friend that would write me every once in a while and go, please tell me you did not take that with your iPhone. And I went, yeah, I did. And he goes, I've got thousands of dollars of equipment. You're taking these amazing pictures. Well, it's because I practice seeing things from different angles, from different ways.
Wow.
And now when I'm walking down the street, I'll look up. When the sun's going down, I'll see the way the light is hitting a building and the shadow that it creates, and see how beautiful it is. Or a flower, and it's usually the flower that's not sometimes it's the perfect, beautiful flower. Sometimes it's the flower with a couple of petals missing in the middle of a bunch of beautiful, perfect flowers. And you realize the imperfection is what creates the perfection. And there's a great Japanese thought about that. They said the best person to take care of a beautiful Japanese garden is either a young boy or an old man, because neither one of them will do it perfect. Both of them will leave the young boy will run through and clean it up quickly and leave a couple of leaves or a couple of things scattered around, not get every little piece. And the old man will get tired of bending over and picking stuff up, so it won't be perfect. And it's the imperfection of it is what creates the beauty.
Wow. That's wonderful. I love that, because you live that. And again, this is not like the let me hoist Steve Marshall up on my shoulders show, but I see it, and I'm always commenting, and I'm always liking, and I'm always sharing things that you post, because I want to see the world the way that you do. Now, my world is a little more mundane, at least to me. It would appear to be. I mean, you get to travel and you get to see these amazing, beautiful things, but I want to open my eyes to where I can see the people and the places that seem routine and find the things that are just hiding right there in plain sight.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a project that I've been doing a little bit, is especially during now when we can't go out. I mean, I haven't been like within 10 minutes of my house, walking distance, in the last 7 months. I mean,
Wow.
a couple times I've had to go to Tokyo or things like that, but mainly I'm here. And so that really made me think about seeing things and taking pictures, right outside my house.
Right.
And that's what's really cool, is there's just cool things all around you. And like I said, when you wake up in the morning, where the sun's coming in your window and hitting the edge of your dresser and creating a shadow, with the light and everything. It could be something as simple as that. I set my coffee cup down yesterday on a little bar stool we have, and the light we had on cast a shadow, and it was like the cup was here in this beautiful shadow with a handle. And then I looked over and I turned the cup a little bit to make the shadow even more perfect. And it's just, I just sat there and looked at it and went, oh, that's really cool. And it was just something on a little stool next to me. And I think, but you need to train yourself to do that. You need to stop and smell the roses, as the saying goes. And you need to be aware of those things. And the more you're aware of them, the more that they'll happen automatically. And the more annoyed people will become hanging out with you, because you're stopping and looking at everything. Steve, can't we go? You've just taken 10 pictures of this little piece of paper that's, but you see these things, and it just becomes a part of your reality.
Right.
And you can be astonished every day, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to have good equipment, camera to take pictures. You don't have to be traveling all over the place. I guarantee you that if you just walk the same route every day, you can see something different every day
Wow.
and something beautiful every day if you really take the time to notice it. But most people just don't take the time. They're just heading from point A to point B.
Wow. So you, and I'm going to go the long way to get to this point. You are a magician who has come through decades, I mean, generations of magic performers, entertainers, to now where if I see you do something wonderful and amazing, and I don't even have to ask, how did you do it? I can Google how did you do it, and YouTube will tell me. There will be nice full color visuals to spoil all my fun. And I think the world that we live in now, because we want to have that kind of instant gratification of satisfying the wonder, putting the boxes back up, if you will, living your life the way you're describing, opening your eyes and seeing the magic that's happening around you, everyday magic, is almost like reverse engineering that. It's taking you out of the boxes and finding the magic that's inside that's been there all along.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I tell people don't go Google or YouTube stuff because, well, no, I always equate it to music. It's like if you sat there and watched a guitar player play a very beautiful classical guitar piece, and the whole time you're going, oh, that's a D chord. Oh, that's an F minor. Oh, that's you wouldn't enjoy the music.
Sure.
It's the same thing with magic as an art form that gives you this great, it's unique in a way that it does give you these moments of astonishment. So I hope people will just sit back and enjoy it, as a piece of wonderment, of astonishment.
Yeah, probably more akin to
yeah.
our audiences. Like, you never want to watch them making the chicken McNuggets before you eat the chicken McNuggets. It will ruin the Mick experience. No matter what Mr. James says, you won't want to eat them.
No, you will not.
No, you will not. Well, man, I'm so glad to be able to catch up with you and chat. I would love to do this more often, just because you truly are one of the most amazing people that I know. I feel like my life and my story is a more interesting place because you're part of it. And that when I comment on things, you'll comment back, and it's like, man, I know this guy who's doing cool things, and that makes me feel cooler. And that's a legit thing. And I know what you're going to say. You're always like that. Well, I feel cooler because I know you, and that's because that's who you are. You build up people, and you bring light and joy into people's worlds. No matter whether you've been doing this since the Zephyr Hill days, and it seems a little routine, or just never underestimate me encouraging you. Never underestimate the joy and the authenticity, the inspiration and the encouragement that you bring to people around you. That never should be routine, and that never goes out of style.
Thanks. And I do, and I know you said I'm going to say it, but I do feel the same about you. But I also think that that's an important thing. People don't realize how much just a smile or a kind word, how astonishing that can be to people, because a lot of people don't do it. If you can just smile and say, have a nice day. When you're checking out of the grocery store, if you just smile to the clerk, or you go, hey, nice, whatever, nice glasses, or, people love little tiny, it's amazing how much people, it doesn't take much to make somebody's day, right? But so many people don't take the time to do that.
Sure.
And I think that's the kind of astonishment that you can bring to somebody on a daily basis.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Well, we are going to wrap up here in a moment. Before we do, there's something I like to do anytime we hang out with somebody. I have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. Let me see if I can remember. You taught me this years ago. Ichi, ni, san, yan, ju. Did I get it right?
You just said 1, 2, 3, 4, 10.
Yes, that's what well, I'm skipping to the 10.
We're going for that.
Go. Is it go?
Go. It's go. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Listen, man, that was 25 years ago you taught me this. I feel
that's great.
Feel very valid. So 5 questions real quick, and answer them as honestly as you can, or you can say pass. There's no real penalty to this. Number 1, if they were making a movie of your life, the Steve Marshall story, Gaijin Clown, the movie, who would play you?
Boy, that's a tough one. Probably, I'd say looks-wise, somebody like Owen Wilson or somebody like that.
Wow.
But I would love, I would love like Mr. Bean. I would love Rowan Atkins to play me or something like that.
Okay, that's fair. I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, you've been all around the world. Tell me 3 places that everyone who wants to live a life of wonder should visit in their lifetimes.
Okay. Most of my travel has been in Asia. But I think everybody should visit the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
in the States. I think everybody should visit Japan. I mean, obviously, Japan's just a beautiful country. It's really incredible wonderment.
And Steve said you can crash with him, so it's cool.
Exactly. I got a place. I'm a good tour guide too. And where else? Vietnam was a beautiful country.
Wow.
Vietnam and Korea. But yeah, Vietnam, there was something really special about Vietnam when I was there. Beautiful,
Okay.
beautiful country.
Very cool. Why do you think some people are afraid of clowns?
I have no idea. It's like anything. I mean, obviously there's all those scary clown movies and things like that, but that goes back to Lon Chaney Sr., who had a theory called the clown. He had a theory called the clown at midnight theory, and it was a theory about horror, and he happened to use clowns. And basically what it was he said, if you go to the circus during the day and you see this clown that makes you laugh, you love this clown.
Sure.
You leave loving this clown, but at night, at midnight, you hear a knock at your back door, and you open the door and it's the same clown standing there. It's this theory in horror, and it's creepy, right?
I'm gonna have bad dreams now, for real.
Right, but all it is about taking something and putting it in some place where it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
It could be anything. It could be, I mean, if you went to Disney and saw Cinderella, and if you open your door at midnight and Cinderella's standing there in the moon, you're probably not going to go, oh, it's Cinderella. You're going to be kind of freaked out about it. Or, if your dentist is standing there at midnight.
That's a double layer of terror. So
Yeah.
You're saying that the key to good horror is location, location, location. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, if you could have tea, I'm trying to modify this to our Japanese culture here. If you could have tea with one creative person, living or dead, who would it be? Obviously, we don't give questions out beforehand like this. This is all coming from the top of your head.
No, I would love to. I would love to sit down. I would love to talk to Houdini. I mean, obviously, I brought these to show you. These were actually Houdini's handcuffs.
What?
I actually got to buy these at an auction years ago.
Wow.
Yes, these actually belonged to Houdini, so it's one of my treasures. Yeah, so probably Houdini, somebody magical, but also, I'm trying to think. Do you know who Robert Fulghum is?
I don't.
He wrote a book called Everything I Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten.
Okay, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still alive. I would love to talk to him.
Okay.
And Dad, Shel Silverstein, hands
right
down.
Right on.
Yeah.
The Giving Tree changed my life.
Yeah. So those kind of guys.
Very cool. And then last one, do you have a favorite Bible story?
Do I have a favorite Bible story?
Yeah.
When I was a kid and growing up, and it's probably always been the Christmas story.
Okay.
I mean, the story of just how, Christ was born and that the star and everybody coming to see him. And I always that always felt to me like a cultural, many people from different cultures came together for one amazing time, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter who they were or where they were from. The 3 wise men, right, were from 3 different lands. I mean, they weren't 3 guys, that were just hanging out together. The 3 wise guys, as my mom used to call them. But, I think a story like that, and I think in the Bible, we learned that back then the stories were cultures coming together, where it wasn't all the same thing. It was Christ bringing them together. Oh. And I think that's what's important. Yeah.
And we celebrate that today with Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Exactly.
Well, Steve, if people want to follow you and take a journey into your world of wonder, where can they find you on the internet? Well,
best thing is go to stevemania.com. stevemania.com. And there you can get the link to my YouTube page. And also now I sit right here and I actually do virtual magic shows around the world over Zoom.
Nice.
Where it's an hour show and there's lots of interaction. I have magic happening in your home. it's pretty cool. It's really a lot of fun. So you can get information about those shows there too.
That's really, really cool. You know how hard it is. I'm fighting the temptation to do the just standard, probably most annoying thing in your life is, well, do a trick for us, Steve. Why don't you do something for us right now? I don't want to put.
I have something ready.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to move the computer back.
This was the one thing I didn't want to pressure you to do, but I'm not going to stop you either.
No, that's okay. That's okay. This is one of my favorite things, and this is something that I've been closing my show with recently.
Okay.
When I travel around, I carry boxes. My hobby has been collecting boxes. When I go someplace, I travel and I carry boxes. I think I got my computer a little bit wonky, don't I? Let me see if I can prop this up a little bit.
Welcome to the wonky world.
The Wonky World of Steve Marshall.
That's right.
Hey, that's a good. That's my new show name. I like that.
There you go.
I know. Is
the moment of wow in the wonky world.
Yeah. So anyway, I've got this box. It's a big dice, and I keep this with me to remind me that sometimes life is like a game of chance, a roll of dice, a crapshoot, and there's times in our lives when we would just want to get outside the boxes that we create for ourselves and expand our horizons. Well, at other times, no matter how cramped it might feel, it seems safer just to stay inside of those boxes that we create for ourselves. But the thing that I've learned through my life is that sometimes you just got to create your own box and hope for the best.
Wow.
And that's what I hope for everybody, all the best.
What is this? That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. We're gonna link to your website in the show notes. I'm also gonna put a link to the Amazon if people want to pick up your book, Turning the Pages. Thank you so much, Steve Marshall. You are a true treasure in my life, and I'm so grateful for your friendship. And I just feel like everybody who's listening, everybody who's watching, their story is going to be more interesting even for this moment when you've been a part of it.
Well, thanks, Tony. It's been great seeing you.
You have my love and my appreciation, brother. Keep doing what you're doing.
Right back at you. Thanks, buddy.
All right, be good.
All right, see ya.
But I just want to let you know I was recording in case you needed to scratch yourself or anything like that.
I always need to scratch myself. There's a great line from Benny Hill where Benny Hill he was always scratching himself, and somebody said, this lady goes, "Why are you always scratching yourself?" He says, "Because I'm the only one that knows where it itches." That was a great line.